What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. It's one of your hosts here, Dillon, and today we are going to be going through and fixing, rebuilding, retooling the 2025 Pittsburgh Steelers offseason is what we're going to be going through today. We're going to go through free agents on the team and both who to sign. We're going to talk about draft prospects. We're going to do a mock draft in today's video. And we're going to do everything we can for the 2025 Steelers offseason to get them where they need to go. Obviously, lots of problems, lots of issues that we've faced. A 5-game losing streak to end the year, no playoff wins in 8 years. There's a lot to do. So without further ado, we're going to get into it. Be sure to drop a like on the video, subscribe for more if you enjoy this sort of stuff. There's going to be a lot more draft season content coming your way. But the first thing we got to start the conversation with today in regards to the Steelers offseason is the decision at quarterback. I don't think that's to anybody's surprise. And there's really three trains of thought. It's the only three options. You're either going to re-sign Justin Fields, you're going to re-sign Russell Wilson, or you're going to sign an outside guy. I guess there's a fourth option. You're going to draft a quarterback. But the quarterback you're drafting is not starting in 2025. So when you're talking about the starter for the Steelers, it's one of those first three options. And straight off the bat, I'm not beating around the bush today. Number one is we're re-signing Justin Fields. 2-year contract here to get him to stay in Pittsburgh for the foreseeable future. And I just think it's right. When you talk about Fields versus Russell Wilson, you got 10 years younger in Justin Fields, dynamic playmaker. He's got tools. He's looked elite at times with his running ability. He has a great arm, but it's the little stuff. It's the playing the quarterback position, accuracy, timing on throws, reading the defense, that sort of thing is where Justin has struggled. But it's like a lottery ticket. I saw someone write today, it's like scratching a lottery ticket because Justin Fields, if it works out, he's going to be a great quarterback, and he can be a franchise quarterback. He's still only 25 years old. And if it doesn't work out, it's just another one of those scratch-off lottery tickets they lose most of the time anyway. But then you set yourself up for a quarterback decision next year where the quarterback draft class is looking much better, much deeper, maybe something a little bit better at the top in Arch Manning, which will be a future conversation. But today, re-signing Justin Fields, 2 years. I'm putting the range at 40 to 50 million. That puts you around $25 million a year, which is about Geno Smith money. And that's to entice him to stay and not hit the open market. We want to re-sign Justin Fields before March 12th, before the new league year starts, before other teams have a chance to get in on the action. So that's what I'm giving Justin Fields. It puts him at about the 20th paid quarterback in the league. He's a top 20 quarterback, and I think that's right about where he's valued, and you may pay a little premium to get him to stay and not hit the open market. I think, other quarterbacks below that are like the Gardner Minshew's and Garoppolos of the world making like $15 million a year or less. But for a young quarterback, former first-round pick a few years ago, has flashed elite traits in a year where the Eagles just won a Super Bowl with a Jalen Hurts quarterback that's got a lot of similar traits, I just think the price for Fields is only going to go up if you let him hit the market. You give him that 2-year deal right now to get him to stay, and you see if you got something there. If he balls out for 2 years, then you got a franchise quarterback, and you can give him $30-40 million for the next 10 years. I don't care. But you can't do that and give that to Russell Wilson, because if his price tag is more, talking $30 million, $35 million a year, the rest of the roster is not going to be there. We saw that it wasn't there against the elite teams last year, losing those 5 games in a row and not looking particularly close there as well. Moving on to another re-signing here for the Steelers, Jaylen Warren. I think you got to bring Jaylen Warren back. Give him the second-round tender, which turns out to be about a 1-year, $4 million contract. If someone else offers him that, you get a second-round pick if you don't match it there. So a second-round tender for Jaylen Warren. You bring him back. He's a little bit of juice in the running back room. You let Najee walk. That's the other piece to this puzzle. He was great for us for 4 years, 1,000 yards every season, but this offense needs juice, and Najee Harris does not bring the juice there. So re-signing there Jaylen Warren. And then on the other side, for wide receivers there, I would try to re-sign Mike Williams. Cheap, Veteran minimum, I'm not giving him a whole lot of money because I think what we saw last year is an indictment of there's a reason he wasn't getting the ball. And Van Jefferson was still out there running all those routes. He's an older wide receiver coming off a torn ACL. He may just not have it anymore, so I'm not giving that guy a lot of money. But if he wants to come back on a veteran minimum salary for a year, I'll give it to him, and I'll be okay with that. And then on the defensive side of the ball, Elandon Roberts, I'm re-signing him. Great run-stopping linebacker. He loves Pittsburgh. He kind of embodies that Pittsburgh mindset there. So re-signing him, 2 years, $6 million, whatever it'll take to get him back in the building. It's not going to take a lot there. But with all those 4 moves, I think you let everyone else walk or anybody else that gets re-signed. It's going to be third and fourth strings that don't quite matter a whole lot. I think those are the 4 guys you got to prioritize bringing back. You can bring back more in the future if the financially makes sense, but those 4 guys, I think, need to come back, and it starts at the top with Justin Fields. You need to bring him back. You need to get him back before free agency, and then build your team around him. And like I said, you're going to know after a year if he's the answer or not. We can't be afraid to take a risk here and just go with a safer floor guy like, Russ, he can, it wasn't his fault. Well, I want to take a risk trying to get an elite quarterback or a very good one for many years to come in Justin Fields before we go ahead and hit the reset button on a quarterback in this draft. That's a little bit of a prelude to my mock draft later in this episode, what we will not be focusing on early in that draft. So that's from a Steelers side organization. So I'll throw them up there, the 4 guys that were re-signing. But now 2 free agents. Who are we going to look to bring in to this team to might make sense? And I think it starts at the very top with T. Higgins. It's a Bengal hitting the free agency market, so I don't know how enticed he's going to want to be to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. It happened with Patrick Queen last year, so we'll see. But I think you got to throw a bag at T. Higgins because that guy is a wide receiver 1 who just hasn't had the opportunity yet with Jamar Chase on his team. But he's a big body guy. He can produce. He's a wide receiver 1 that would take so much pressure off of George Pickens. And right now, we don't even know if George Pickens is going to be a Steeler this year, let alone the future. So you need to go get yourself a guy. Don't be afraid to spend money. Look what the Eagles did. They went out and got A.J. Brown. They gave him a whole bunch of cash, and they just won the Super Bowl. Don't be afraid to go out and get a wide receiver 1. Get a weapon. It's so important in today's NFL. So throw him the bag. See if he's going to accept it. I would love for it to happen. If it's in the realm of 4 years, $100 million, I don't know, what it's going to be. But I think you try. You absolutely have to try, and you can't be cheap about this when it comes to getting a wide receiver 1 out there on the field for our quarterback, Justin Fields, to throw to. So that's number 1. Number 2 is going out there and getting another corner opposite Joey Porter Jr. Like I said, with the free agents walking, I think Dante Jackson should walk as well. And then you go try to get DJ Reed. 3 years, $40 million, something in that realm. There to try to get him to come to Pittsburgh. I think he's been linked to Pittsburgh as well. But another lockdown corner that's got some younger age on him and not as injury concerned as a guy like Dante Jackson. To go out there and start to rebuff the DB room there in Pittsburgh. So you got Joey Porter Jr. out there, DJ Reed, and then Corey Trice as your third outside guy. Built just like Joey Porter, 6'3", long arms, got speed. But just to rebuild that room a little bit. And then, you can throw a waiver at Mike Hilton, see if he wants to come back to town. 1 year, $5 million. It's a little bit of a bump from what he's getting in Cincinnati right now, I think. Or in that realm of possibilities. So just bringing a couple guys there on the defensive side of things. Sign Josh Dobbs. I think from a backup quarterback perspective, you keep Justin Fields. Bring in Josh Dobbs just to be a backup. He's a great mind. A similar play style of a mobile guy there that if Fields ever went down, you could stick in Josh Dobbs for a couple of games, and your offense would be a very similar play style there, really focusing on the ground game. And then I guess kind of a third option here in the trade market. Let's say T. Higgins doesn't work out. That's obviously option 1A. I think a backup would be to try to trade for Davante Adams. I mean, the Jets got him for a third-round pick from the Raiders. I think you could get the top price is a third. Maybe you could get a fourth for him, or give up a fourth for him. I'd gladly do that to get a guy that's coming down from the end of his career, but I think certainly worthy of a year in the system to help that wide receiver room. We can't run it back with Allen Robinson as wide receiver 2, or Allen Robinson, or Van Jefferson, Allen Robinson, the guy the year before that. Well, we just can't. We need another wide receiver. I mean, this is ridiculous. So try to get a guy. If it's not T. Higgins, try for Davante Adams. I wouldn't go for Deebo Samuel, even though they only won a day 3 pick. I just don't see the fit there. Or a guy like Cooper Kupp, getting older, he would be a slot guy. I don't see the fit there. I'd call Chicago, and I'd see if DJ Moore is available. Justin liked to throw into DJ Moore a lot, so if you're building that offense around Justin, I would inquire about a wide receiver 1 that he's had quite some success with. I don't know what their feelings would be about getting rid of him. They got Rome Odunze over there, and Keenan Allen. I don't know if they'd want to get rid of DJ Moore. He was kind of feeling like he wanted to get out. I think he would be happy reuniting with his former QB1. So just a feeler, something to think about there when it comes to the Steelers offseason. So I think pre-draft, those are the moves you got to look at making. And we'll see. But again, it starts up front. You got to get your quarterback signed, and I would get Justin Fields signed for all the reasons mentioned. And I just think given a full season as the unquestioned starter in QB1, and you build around him, and you give him the run game, you give him weapons, you give him a really good defense, I think he can prove to have success. And I've talked about that in previous videos as well. 4-2, 2-0 against top 5 defenses. Justin Fields can be the guy for you, and I think that's why other teams want him. And he'll be a popular commodity here in free agency. I wouldn't go get a Sam Darnold, a Kirk, a Rodgers. Steer clear of all those guys. You already got one in-house. He's been in the system for a year. Re-sign Justin Fields. That's the last I'm going to say about that. So moving on, we're going to flip to the mock draft, and I'm going to do some setup here to get that pulled up on the screen. And now we're gonna mock draft for the Steelers this year, keeping in mind that all this stuff has happened. And we're gonna say they got Justin Fields, they've re-signed Jaylen Warren, Mike Williams maybe is on the roster, Elandon Roberts, DJ Reed's in there, and then you've done something to get a wide receiver, whether it's T. Higgins, Davante Adams, something to get a wide receiver here. But we'll attack that in the mock draft. So let's get over to that. All right, here we are. We are here with the mock draft simulator, NFL mock draft database simulator here for this software. This is what we're going to use for our mock draft, since PFF wants to start to charge you for your mock drafts, I guess. Whatever. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to hit start. I am not going to be trading up in this draft, you'll see, and we'll see how the board plays out. Abdul Carter following this far would be insane. He's probably going to go very, very high in this mock draft, but or in the real draft. But we're falling back here to pick 21, and I'm also not going to accept any trades this time. Although I think the Steelers trading back in the first round to get an extra second, get an extra third, I would highly consider that this year in the draft. So we're going to reject the trade offers this time. But I think just given the draft board, it's definitely something should be taken into consideration. In terms of my first round targets, being that we're going to assume the Steelers get a wide receiver in some form or fashion, we're not going to go first round wide receiver this time. Although if the Steelers don't get a wide receiver in the free agency period, I think first round wide receiver is definitely in play. And I'm looking at Egbuka, who in this scenario unfortunately just went at pick number 20, and I'm looking at Luther Burden as two guys to seriously consider as first round wide receivers. But the strength of this draft class, it comes from the defensive line, and that is where we're going to go with our first round pick. Looking at some of the D linemen, you got Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss, Kenneth Grant, Michigan, on this particular board, how they have them ranked. I think Derek Harmon is another guy you have to consider along the defensive line, and Tyleik Williams. I mean, the amount of D linemen in this class that are high level. Deion Walker as well. There's a guy on here that we'll maybe take a look at later on in the draft and see if he's there. That's probably going to be a little bit higher than a lot of the draft boards are taking him right now. But we'll circle back to that. So for the first round pick, I'm between Kenneth Grant here and Derek Harmon. I think both guys are good D linemen that are going to bolster the squad. Because right now D line, you got agent Cam Hayward, Larry Ogunjobi's probably gone. Keanu Benton's really only playing nose tackle. So I think injecting some talent along the D-line is super important, especially if we look at how the Eagles just won the Super Bowl with the most powerful front four performance you're ever going to see. So with that being said, we're actually going to go Derek Harmon. A little bit of a reach according to this board, but we're going to go Derek Harmon here in the first round of the draft, and we will see how he goes along the line there in our first round pick. So we don't pick again until number 52 here in the second round. And we'll see who's there. But I'm going to start looking at running back ideas and wide receiver ideas. We're going to see who's still here on the board at our pick. But I'm really on the idea of getting something to pair with Jaylen Warren. Jaylen Warren's going to, I think, be great for the team. But I think there is a idea here to add a impact playmaker to this team. And looking at the board, there's still quite a lot. You got Ezra Thomas, who if we didn't go out and sign some corners, I think would be a great fit. A couple quarterbacks, like I said, we're not going there. Wide receiver, Omarion Hampton is still on the board, which is kind of a surprise. Isaiah Bond, some other ideas here. But my pick in the second round is going to be Travion Henderson, running back out of Ohio State. I just love the burst that this guy has, and I think you need home run hitters in that running back room. And he's got speed that even Jaylen Warren doesn't provide. Warren can still be your ground and pound in between the tacklers runner. He's got power. He may not be Najee Harris, but he's got power. And then if you stick Travion in there, I mean, I think he's going to do some really, really dangerous, impactful stuff and really help out this offense. So far, we've bolstered the D-line. We've gotten a weapon on offense, and we still will. We'll probably circle around to wide receiver at some point in this draft. But I just think right now, given the pieces and what we've done in free agency up until this point, that was the route to go here in this draft. Now, taking a look at who's still on the board at pick 83, you got some players, Xavier Watt, safety, Quinn Ewers still on the board, Caleb Johnson, if we didn't take a running back there, that might have been an idea. Will Howard, Dillon Gabriel, I know I've seen some mocks with those guys coming to the team here. But a lot of talent still on the board here in the third round. And our next pick is at 122 as well, so keep that in mind. But we're going to go ahead, and in the third round, we are going to take a wide receiver, and that is going to be Jalen Noel from Iowa State here. Had a pretty good, I believe it was at the Senior Bowl. I can't remember if it was Senior or Shrine Bowl, but a pretty good day there. They give us an A on that draft pick, so we got B+, A there to add some level of depth here to our wide receiver room. For our team. Now picking again at number 122, this is where I'm going to have my eye on somebody that, probably isn't even going to be here at 122. He's probably going to be a third round pick or a second round pick. But with the depth of this draft class, I think double dipping at defensive line is something that we can do. And so I'm going to go to D-line here. I'm going to look for our guy and see where this board has him ranked. Let's see. He might be gone. He might be taken already. Drafted players. Oh yeah, they had him already. So Darius Alexander is who I was looking for. They had him 67th on the board, so I must have missed him getting drafted. But definitely, someone I had on my list. If that second, third round gap, and if that's an area too where if Pittsburgh can trade down and get an extra second or third round pick, I think Darius Alexander would be phenomenal in the league here. But we're still going to end up double dipping in the defensive line. I think There's a couple of good names here, but Ty Robinson out of Nebraska is going to be our pick here at number 122. Really, if you go look at the tape, throw on the Nebraska-Ohio State game, Ty Robinson did some work against the run and got a little bit of juice in the pass rush as well. But bolstering D-line, I want to get some talent in there. Got this ad in the way. What did they give us? They gave us a B on that pick, so not too bad when it's all said and done there. But looking now, we don't pick again until 163, and then there's going to be a big gap here until pick 225. So no 5th round pick this year no 6th round pick this year for the Steelers. We do have a 5th round. We're going to ignore the trades, like I have said. And we're just going to take a look at the board. And I'll be honest, this is where I start to fall off on my knowledge a little bit. RJ Harvey, though, I will say he is definitely a guy that if we can't land Travion earlier in the draft, we're coming back for RJ Harvey here later on in the draft in rounds 3, 4, and 5. That's another guy with a lot of burst and the ability to hit the home run ball. So taking a quick look at some of these names, the one that stands out to me most is Kobe Bryant. Not quite the Kobe that we all know and love, but cornerback out of Kansas. Get another body out there in the DB room. But a guy that also at the Senior Bowl loved what the Steelers were about. He's got some physicality to him. So a late round corner, I don't think it's going to hurt. Even if you only sign, DJ Reed to a couple-year contract, or if you don't sign DJ Reed and you only bring back Dante Jackson, I think corner is definitely something to address in the draft this year in some way, shape, or form. So looking at the board now, it's really starting to thin out here, and the Steelers got 3 7th-round picks to do something with. So I almost bet that the Steelers will move around and maybe move up using some of these 7th-round picks here, maybe go back into the 6th for a guy and package some picks together. But I'm going to be honest, I don't know 3 great names to pick in the 7th round of this draft. But we're going to go ahead and give it our best shot, and we are going to do that right now because we are back on the clock. So looking at some of these names, Kobe King's a cool name to pick. Just doing a scroll down here. There's not a whole lot. But you know what? I am going to go D lineman again with Nazir Stackhouse, a former highly rated recruit coming out of Georgia. I don't think you can have enough bodies on D line. I really don't. We like I said again, Cam Hayward's getting old. Larry Ogunjobi's probably gone. You're looking for a starter who's going to be hopefully Derek Harmon. And more depth pieces. I mean, Ty Robinson, Nazir Stackhouse, a couple more throws at the dartboard to see if you can land some power there and some good players. Going back to the well here, I'll take a quick peek at the quarterbacks still on the board. Curtis Rourke, Brady Cook is a guy to think about. TJ Ugalele, Hudson Card, no thanks. KJ Jefferson would be interesting. A similar kind of, big bodied athletic dude. I don't even know. We'll go quarterback, and we'll just we'll take a flyer on Curtis Rourke. 197 on the board. We're picking him at 231. A guy to come in and battle with Skylar Thompson and Josh Dobbs to maybe make that third string quarterback job over Skylar Thompson. And then last one here, just looking at the what's available. You got some safeties, some linemen. Willie Lampkin, wasn't that the guard that's like going to be a fullback? Don't quite remember. Nothing here that's really gonna change the needle. We've already drafted running back, we've drafted wide receiver, we've drafted corner. Obviously, a lot of D line. We didn't draft O line, so if there was an O lineman here in this range, I suppose we could think about it. Donovan Edwards back down here. That's crazy after how good he was supposed to be. Arian Smith, he's a burner at wide receiver, but we already got burners Shiloh Sanders, probably just trash, what he's going to be. But we'll just come up to the top of the board, and we don't need edge rush. We got some pretty good edge rush. So I guess we'll take an interior O-lineman. We'll get some depth here. Caleb Rogers, Texas Tech. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know much about him, but they give us an A+ for that pick. So we are not going to be upset. So if this ad gets out of the way, I'd love to look at all of my grades here. So the only loading draft results. There we go. So we got Derek Harmon in the first, B+ at 21 overall. Travion in the second, B+. Jalen Noel, we get an A for that, wide receiver. Ty Robinson, a B. Kobe Bryant, an A+. Nazir Stackhouse, C+. And then Curtis Rourke and Caleb Rogers, both A+s there. So overall, we address quarterback at the top, Justin Fields. We re-sign Jalen Warren. We bring back Mike Williams if he's cheap. Elandon Roberts there. We try to bring in a big-name wide receiver, whether that's T. Higgins, whether it's Devontae Adams. Bring in somebody. DJ Reed there on the defensive side of things, maybe a Mike Hilton. Bring in Josh Dobbs as a backup cornerback. And then in the draft, you go get yourself some D-line help. Derek Harmon, Ty Robinson, Nazir Stackhouse. You get Travion Henderson, home run guy out of Ohio State. Jalen Noel, a big body wide receiver to develop there in your team. Kobe Bryant. I mean, how can you not draft Kobe Bryant? And then a couple of 7th-round flyers. So I think that was a really good draft, and I think overall that offseason would put you in some sort of position to see what you got and see what you got in Justin, and then go from there. If it doesn't work out and you have Mike Tomlin's first losing season, that just gets you a better opportunity to get a quarterback in 2026. So if you liked it, drop a like on the video, subscribe for more, comment down below what you did and didn't like about my offseason, and stay tuned. There's going to be plenty more draft content coming your guys' way. So we appreciate it, and hope you all enjoy. Peace.